Hey, hello everyone, welcome back to the Maverick channel. And first of all, thank you for coming back. If you're not new to this channel, thank you for always watching and engaging with the content that I produce on this channel. And if you're new to this channel, I hope you like what you see, and I hope you don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, because it's a very good way to support this channel and it costs you nothing. It's all about a hand movement on that bell button, on that like button, subscribe button, voila, and you have everything at your fingertips. And it also helps the algorithm to know what is going on. So today I want to cover a couple of things. We want to look at Ripple and its conversation with Coinbase in as far as the SEC is concerned, or rather welcoming them to the party. We also want to look at Bitcoin, the crypto market, the trend. As you can see, the market is correcting. I also want to look at a couple of things about El Salvador, obviously, and some tweets that I think are pretty funny as regards some people that went to purchase some things in El Salvador, and what and how important this experiment is. So first of all, before we get into that experiment, of course, the prices have tanked. It's not a very huge surprise. It's the classic sort of buy the rumor, sell the news type of situation. A lot of Bitcoin has been bought up in anticipation of the day when El Salvador actually starts using the Bitcoin network, or starts using Bitcoin as a currency. And then after that happens, of course, there's a massive sell-off after that event. So, of course, this is typical market manipulation. Whales with a lot of money, they time such events. And as soon as these events are done, they know the market always follows those types of trends. So they sell off. So that's what we're seeing right now. And we can see that many cryptocurrencies have followed the trend, except a couple of few cryptocurrencies. Like this always happens. Digital currencies that have had momentum before or earlier before the sell-off, they had some strange kind of momentum. They sort of maintain that momentum for a while as Bitcoin corrects. If Bitcoin persists without correction, then obviously eventually they also follow suit. But as for now, we see Solana, Algorand sort of having that resilience. And those that have been following this channel, we see Fetch really holding up, the Fed token holding up, because a few days ago, in anticipation of the event where Datarella, a company building a product on Fetch.AI, was going to showcase how they're actually using the agents of the Fetch.AI ecosystem, this created major headwinds within the Fetch ecosystem, and the Fed token saw a major spike in the price, which has actually so far held up quite nicely. So the first article we're going to look at, we're just going to look at the headline, and I think it's pretty funny. So Ripple welcomes Coinbase to the party as SEC threatens to sue. So Ripple, the company that holds that's really one of the companies that's behind the XRP token, really that's very influential as regards the development of the XRP ecosystem, has been under litigation by the SEC for a while now. And then now we can officially see, and then as that was happening, Coinbase delisted. They did not delist XRP, but rather they stopped the trading of XRP, but you can still custody your XRP on Coinbase. So Coinbase has received a warning from the United States Securities and Exchange Commission over its high interest crypto product. So not to bother you so much with this article, basically Coinbase wanted to announce that they want to give 4% yield on stablecoins held on the Coinbase wallet or in their vaults. And the SEC came out and was like, hey, what are you doing? We need to investigate that. So obviously, Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, tweeted somewhere. He tweeted this GIF, and it was like, welcome to the party, pal, essentially. And you can see some tweets from yield products are securities. They differ in no material respect to unsecured bonds. They just don't use the name. Other countries like England have debt crowdfunding rules. US costs should check that out, and we should emulate these rules here. And then Brian Armstrong replies, they responded by telling us this lend feature is a security. Okay, seems strange. How can lending be a security? So we asked the SEC to help us understand to share their view. We always make an effort to work proactively with regulations and keep an open mind. So obviously, when you read this article, it's Coinbase and Brian Armstrong and the executives really expressing their concern about the SEC. And obviously, those that have been following the Ripple case with the SEC, you see there's a lot of things that do not make sense, with people like Hinman stating that Ethereum and Bitcoin are not securities, and SEC taking it as truth, yet there's no writing about it, and so many other things that have been going on around that. So which have led to the uncovering of so many shady sort of deals going on underneath within the SEC as regards regulations concerned, favoring picking and choosing winners within the digital asset space. So that's what's going on there. Coinbase, welcome to the party. And here we want to see, there's this article here, but there's something important I want you to note in this article. Bitcoin drops nearly 11% on Tuesday on well leveraged liquidation. So of course, a couple of liquidations, Bitcoin network has dropped, as we talked about, buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. But one thing I want you to note, of course, there's been, as always, when there's a sudden influx in the market, whether it's a massive sell-off, a sudden massive sell-off, or a massive spike in price, sometimes it becomes hard to log into some of these centralized platforms that are there where people can actually trade. For example, people complaining that they're finding it hard to log into Coinbase, they're finding it hard to log into Binance. So the thing that I wanted you guys to note is FTX. You all know FTX, the exchange, it's taken the world by storm with global ambassadors like Steph Curry and launching all kinds of NFTs, and they're also focusing on synthetics. Those that have been following this channel, I'm very bullish on synthetics. That's essentially bringing price feeds from the real world or physical world and actually bringing them onto the blockchain. So like commodities, derivatives, equities, and so on. So FTX, which largely remained online and accessible, CEO Sam Bankman-Fried told Blockworks that his exchange was able to withstand the pressure because, in quotes, "We've spent a lot of time over the last few years working on making our matching engine scalable and parallelizable while still maintaining cross margin, allowing the exchange to withstand intense load gracefully." So the point to note from this article is that basically we're seeing FTT or the FTX exchange really establishing itself and proving itself that it's a worthy contender in this market. So it's something to watch out for, especially if you want to speculate on the tokens especially after seeing the Binance token, how well it performed. It started the year at less than $20, reached an all-time high of about $600, and it's still at a very respectable price. Actually, it's now trading for, let's check it out shortly, it's trading for $400. So in case you're into that kind of thing, you might want to look into the reputation of this FTX exchange and where they're moving, and that's pretty exciting. So another thing we want to look at in this article is that Bitcoin overtakes Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, XRP, Polkadot in institutional inflows. Those that watched my video yesterday, there was an article that I looked at, which was, talking about altcoins and how they've garnered this tremendous amount of momentum and tremendous amount of capital is flowing into these altcoins. But now we're seeing a shift in the trend. Some of this money seems to be shifting back into the Bitcoin ecosystem. So we can see here, for example, Bitcoin saw inflows totaling $59 million, marking a potential turnaround in sentiment among its investors. So this is the first inflows following an 8-week spell of outflows. So the longest endured by any digital asset investment product. So beyond Bitcoin, a total of $98 million in digital asset investment products inflows were recorded last week. For the past 3 weeks, the firm has seen inflows of over $140 million, which suggests to CoinShares that investors' sentiment could be growing stronger. So the firm they're referring to in this case is CoinShares. So you see these names floating around a lot, like Solana. There's a lot of attention that's been drawing towards Solana, and there's things like Polkadot, Cardano, Ethereum, XRP. These are names floating around. So the article essentially saying the amount of money, capital inflow into these tokens is not that much compared. Bitcoin is still king. Bitcoin is still dominating this, and we're now seeing one of the world's greatest experiments in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So not only has a country officially adopted Bitcoin as its native currency, we're also seeing a test in the Lightning Network, the actual use case of the Lightning Network in the Bitcoin ecosystem. This is extremely important for the Bitcoin ecosystem. It's also important for decentralization. It's important for the crypto ecosystem. And this is, I think, going to influence the next events of how the whole digital asset space really evolves. The practical use case of the Lightning Network, if it actually works properly, successfully, and we're going to see some tweets of some journalists who actually use the Lightning Network in El Salvador and were able to purchase coffee, food very seamlessly without having to worry about fees and delays. So this was an article. So next we can look at this article about Fetch.AI. Fetch.AI ignores the Bitcoin-led market meltdown by notching a 60% gain. So it's what we looked at in the beginning. Essentially, there was this spike in price. If you look at maybe the all-time high, there was this spike in price in anticipation of what the events or the real-world use cases of the Fetch.AI ecosystem and the Fed token and the Fetch.AI framework. that led to this spike in price, which has maintained a level of resilience, a respectable level of resilience against or relative to the movement of Bitcoin. But as I said, if Bitcoin decides to maintain that downward trend, obviously all other coins follow suit eventually. So you have to be careful out there. But for now, I mean, we have to admire the fact that Fetch.AI is $1 or at least close to $1. I think it's pretty amazing. It's pretty beautiful. So let us move on. There was this interesting article as well. El Salvador buys the dip as Bitcoin price flash. So of course, you know, buying the dip, if you've been around, basically when prices tank in the crypto market, you want to buy the dip, or wherever you're trading from, you want to buy low, sell high, or you want to buy low and just skip. So if you're hodling your digital assets, you want to buy your digital assets and hold, but you want to buy in the red. So we can see some interesting tweets here from Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, buying the dip, 150 coins added. So essentially a whole country bought the dip. We have countries now buying the dip. So yesterday or 2 days ago, we saw El Salvador announcing that they bought 400 Bitcoin, and now with this new addition of 150 Bitcoin, which they bought at actually a relatively good price when Bitcoin tanked to about $43,000. So they now officially hold about 550 Bitcoin, which I think are in profit. So that's pretty good for them. There was this other interesting tweet. It appears the discount is ending. Thanks to the deep IMF news, we've saved $1 million in printed paper. We saved $1 million in printed paper. El Salvador now holds 550 Bitcoin. Of course, we know from past events that the IMF essentially was saying we're not backing this up. We're advising against what the move that El Salvador is making. But personally, what I have to say is that it's a very good experiment, and it's very good for the whole crypto space. I mean, El Salvador has taken one for the team. They've really pushed hard in setting up ATMs, in setting up infrastructures, in developing apps, in really moving forward to place Bitcoin in the hands of the people by saying, hey, we're going to give $30 worth of Bitcoin to anyone that downloads this Bitcoin app. And of course, they faced some headwinds with the Google Play Store and the Apple Store that were refusing to list the app on time. So we're still seeing how that's evolving. And of course, that means the momentum towards downloading the app has slowed down due to some unforeseen circumstances. Maybe these companies are tied to certain governments, certain regulation, so they're quite skeptic to see how this plays out in terms of regulation as regards their jurisdictions where they're based. So, but all in all, it's a very good experiment. So McDonald's now accepts Bitcoin, but only in El Salvador. This is a very, essentially, guys, McDonald's now accepts Bitcoin. So we're seeing this experiment of not just the world's biggest food industry or food franchise. It's an experiment of the Lightning Network being used. Of course, they're using the Lightning Network, otherwise the fees will be too high. So there was this journalist that actually walked into McDonald's, and we can read their tweet. Just walked into McDonald's in San Salvador to see if I could pay for my breakfast with Bitcoin. To be honest, fully expecting to be told no. But lo and behold, they printed a ticket with a QR code on it that took me to a web page with a Lightning invoice, and now I'm enjoying my desayuno tradicional, or I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but yeah. So essentially, we're seeing the Lightning Network working. You can briefly, in case you do not know what the Lightning Network is, the Lightning Network is a layer 2 payment protocol designed to make Bitcoin transactions more scalable. Although Bitcoin has succeeded as an investable asset, its adoption as a medium of exchange has been limited, obviously due to high transaction fees, slow throughput, and so on. So with onboarding something like Lightning Network, which scales the Bitcoin network, it makes it more practical, it makes it more usable, it makes it easy for people to use. So there was another tweet here: Starbucks accepts Bitcoin in El Salvador. So fast and simple. So this is a very interesting video in case you guys want to check it out. Just like that, in a few seconds, we're seeing someone making a purchase of coffee. People always like, hey, you cannot use Bitcoin to buy coffee because Bitcoin is very expensive. But now we're seeing the Lightning Network actually doing its thing, actually working. And I think that's one of the reasons why institutions are now really paying attention to Bitcoin. Not only are countries starting to adopt Bitcoin, but the Lightning Network is also working. So essentially, the Lightning Network is a centralized scaling solution of the Bitcoin network, where you can have your own organization or partnership with other organizations. You set up your own Lightning Network channels. So whether so anyone that wants to make Bitcoin purchases, they go through those channels. So there's liquidity within those channels because you've set them up, and everything works flawlessly to your convenience. So this is pretty interesting. So some more interesting tweets. The same guy you saw. This was, I think, really funny. This is Aaron van Woerdam, the guy from the journalist. From the Cointelegraph article. So the Walmart in San Salvador, so I guess after visiting the McDonald's, decided to get himself an extra Pepsi. The Walmart in San Salvador did not accept Bitcoin for my Pepsi Light. Have fun staying poor, Walmart. So for those that have been in the crypto space, you know this is like a pun in the crypto space. Have fun staying poor. For example, if you don't want to buy Bitcoin and so on. So Walmart doesn't want to accept my Bitcoin. Have fun staying poor. And we see some extra, El Salvador going hard. ATMs, they look fancy. We saw some articles, some of the ATMs in certain areas were protected by, automatic weapon wielding soldiers, protecting these ATMs. Because essentially these ATMs not only take Bitcoin, but they also dispense cash. You can give them Bitcoin, they spit out cash. You can give them cash, they spit out Bitcoin. So they are not just Bitcoin ATMs that just hold Bitcoin on the blockchain. So essentially, there will be no need to really protect them unless protecting them against vandalism. But in terms of spitting out cash, then obviously there's especially if they've just been set up, the political situation, no one knows what's going on, political unrest. People are not sure whether this Bitcoin law is a good thing for them. Is it for the rich? All kinds of things going on. So we saw some news that there were some armed people protecting the ATMs. But however, regardless, it's very interesting to see that El Salvador has gone really hard in terms of infrastructure, in terms of setting up a framework for people to be able to actually use the Bitcoin ecosystem, and putting it in mandate that if someone wants to offer you Bitcoin to buy something, you should not refuse it. It's easy legal tender in this country. You should have a method to accept it. And our final coverage for this video, I think this was funny. It's not related to Bitcoin, it's related to NFTs, but it was posted by CoinMarketCap, which was, good luck explaining NFTs to your lawyers. And it says here, divorce court in 2030, and these two people here fumbling over NFTs. You can see CryptoPunks in there, I think CryptoKitties, but mostly CryptoPunks in there. I think this was funny. I looked at it and I laughed. It was so funny. Anyways, that's all I wanted to cover today. So basically, El Salvador, the FTX exchange with the FTT token, you might want to take note of that. And obviously the Fetch ecosystem, we talk about them a lot. I think they're doing trying to create some actual real world use cases of digital currencies and their practicality. And we've started seeing Datarella building a product using the Fetch.AI framework and their technology, the multi-agent, the autonomous economic agents. So that's very interesting. And we've also looked at some interesting tweets and how El Salvador has gone really hard with as regards adopting the Bitcoin as a payment system within their country. So alongside the dollar, and some interesting tweets from their president, Nayib Bukele. All right, I hope you guys learned something today, and I hope to see you. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.